Hi, Heather.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Fine, and yourself?
Doing good, thank you.
And
So,
hello to the audience.
what is new with you? Have you climbed any mountains lately?
You know, I'm always out there climbing mountains, but in this case, it's just been local mountains. And in fact, let me look at my calendar, what I've done since the last time. So the last live stream was October 20th, so it's just been 2 weeks. And yeah, just some local hiking.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yep. And how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was fun. I filled myself up and then I regretted it. How about you?
You know, pretty similar. Had a good time. My brother and his family came to visit, and now I could stand to lose about 5 pounds. But we
Right.
had a good time.
Did you do any Black Friday shopping?
No, that would probably be the last day I would want to go shopping. I mean, maybe I might do it online, but not in this case. But no, I do not like crowds and I do not like shopping. So when you combine them, I'm really going to get in a bad mood.
I don't blame you. It's like a marathon.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
yeah, want nothing to do with that.
do we have any trivia for today?
Yes, we do. We're going to do some Bible trivia in
Oh,
celebration
yay.
of Christmas. And also, I want to keep with the theme of doing magic tricks. So I'm going
Oh,
to reposition my
awesome.
camera real quick and show you a magic trick. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to explain how I did it. So let's get the keyboard out of the way. Okay. So you can do this with an ordinary deck of cards, which you can see here. And I'm even going to shuffle them. So now at this point, I would ask the volunteer to separate these cards into 4 equal piles. But since I don't have a volunteer here, Heather, can you give me a number, say between 10 and 16?
Sure. Let's do 16. Let's do the full on 16.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 16 there. Now give me another one that's in the same range.
Okay, we'll do on the low side this time, so let's do 11.
6. And now another one.
Let's do something in the middle, so let's say 13.
So again, in a live performance, you would just let the spectator divide them manually. And just trust me that as long as each pile is anywhere close to 1/4, this will work. So next, I'm going to just take one of these piles, let's say this one, and I'm going to take the top 3 cards and put them on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to take the next 3 cards and put one each on each of the other 3 piles. And you can do this in any order you wish. I'll go 1, 2, 3. Now you take another pile. I'll say this one. Again, the top 3. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. And then the next 3, 1 on each of the other piles. I'm going to take another pile. I'm going to take the top 3, put them on the bottom. And then the next 3, put them on the other 3 piles. 1, 2, 3. And finally this one, top 3 on the bottom. And the next 3, 1 in each pile. 1, 2, 3. And now watch this. Let's look at the top card in each pile. We have an ace, an ace,
Ooh.
an ace, and an ace.
Oh, wow. How'd you do that?
Yep, and I will answer that question, how I did it, at the end of the video.
You're going to make us wait for the whole video.
That's right. That'll keep you guys watching.
That's fun.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
And, okay, I only have 10. So I recently, last year, I did a really, what I think, if I may say so, was a good Bible trivia challenge around with Christmas related questions. So this time I only have 10, and all the best ones were asked last year. So forgive me if these questions are kind of obscure, but let's get right into number one. In the Old Testament, which prophet foretold of a virgin that would give birth to a son named Emmanuel?
Was it Gandalf the White?
Nope.
Ah, darn it. Okay.
Let's see what the audience can do with that one. And meanwhile,
Sounds
hit
good.
me up with a gambling question.
Will do. So if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. Real quick before we go to a question, Wild Foodie Tour says, wow, love the magic tricks. I've got to tune in at the end. So I love that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm glad you liked it.
So moving up here to the very first question of the day. This is from Technics. If the same casino has a 6-to-5 video blackjack game and a 3-to-2 video blackjack game, would they have the same RNG settings, random number generator settings?
Okay. How shall I answer this? The general public I think, misunderstands what an RNG or a random number generator really is. All those do is spit out numbers between 0 and a very big number, which in many cases is 2 to the 64th power minus 1. So that's going to be a 1 followed by 18 other digits. So it spits out huge numbers. And then whatever the game is, whether it be a slot machine, video poker, video Keno, it will map this number to a smaller number. Like, let's say it just needs a random card from 1 to 52. What it might do is divide that number by 52 and take the remainder, giving it a number from 0 to 51, and then map that to a particular playing card. So the general public does not need to know that, though. It's not going to help him nor hurt him in the casino at all. It's just very technical mumbo jumbo stuff that you don't need to care about. What you do need to care about are the rules. So if you see one game that is paying 6-to-5 and one is paying 3-to-2, whether it's a human dealt game or a machine game, play the 3-to-2 one. The difference in house advantage is going to be the same. Either way, all of the things being equal. So always hunt out those good rules. And finally, let me say that in Nevada, there is a law or a regulation that a video representation of a card game must follow the natural odds as if a human being was dealing it. So at least in Nevada, there is no trickery or cheating with the deal of the cards. It's all fair, and the casinos don't need to cheat or deceive you to make money, because that house advantage is all that they need. So I hope you understood that. I could talk about this for a long time, but let's go on to another question.
Okay. Statement real quick before the next question. The wizard is a magician.
Thanks, Vince. You know, I really am taking magic pretty seriously these days. And, it's just a hobby. I'm always have at least like 2 or 3 hobbies going. And lately it's been magic.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you can grace us with your magic tricks.
Of course. My pleasure.
So our next question comes from Paul. If a pay table is favorable for one video poker game on a particular machine, then are all the other games on that same machine favorable?
I've noticed that usually if you have a multi-game video poker machine, they will all be kind of in the same like 1% range. But not always. I've seen stingy games that just had one outlier generous game that I'm sure was because the slot director either didn't know what he was doing or he just made a mistake on that one machine. And in video poker circles, you hear about it all the time, is like one huge casino may have one game or one machine with one game that's at a really generous setting that the slot director doesn't know about. But yeah, as a generality, they tend to be all in the same like 1% range.
Okay, good to know. Okay, let's see if anyone has come up with an answer to the trivia question. We have, was it Elijah?
No, it was not Elijah, but a good guess.
And no other guess. Vince seems to know the answer, but he's not saying it. Vince, say it. But that's pretty much it. We don't have any other guesses or anything.
Well, I saw that what Vince said was correct. It starts with an I and ends in an H because the prophet's name was Isaiah. So give a half point to Vince there. Okay.
Nah, let's not give him any points. He didn't say it.
You're a tough grader today, Heather. Okay, so as I mentioned, the name in the Old Testament was Emmanuel. So the next question, number 2, is what does Emmanuel mean?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer, put it in the chat, including you, Vince. And our next question comes from Las Vegas Jamie. If you were to play Baccarat in Las Vegas, which 2 casinos would you play at, and why would you play there?
Well, first of all, the rules of Baccarat are pretty much the same everywhere. So I would be looking to play at a place that I liked and a place that rewarded my play well. And since I never play Baccarat, I'm not in a good position to address that topic. So, I've said this many times, but I personally like the South Point Casino. I think it offers an outstanding value. So if I live close to there, I might play there. And that's about all I'll say on that one.
Okay. And then our next question comes from Paul. Regarding slots with a must hit by progressive, does the machine know when this will happen, or does an algorithm figure it out on each spin?
Okay. I will say that mathematically it doesn't make any difference, but I believe the way the games are programmed is the machine does not know in advance when it will hit. And with every single bet that you make, the game will do a calculation according to how big your bet was and how far away the jackpot is from the must hit by point, and give you a fair chance to hit it according to those 2 parameters. And it will do that by, again, drawing a random number. And the reason that I believe they do it that way is that it's just good security in programming to not have an outcome of something random known until the very last second, because it might invite some kind of cheating if the outcome was determined long in advance, like the jackpot will hit at exactly $314.59, something like that. That's just, like I said, it's bad security. So that's about as far as I can take that one.
Okay, awesome. Do you want another question, or you want to see if anyone has an answer to your trivia?
Does anyone know what Emmanuel means?
Is it God with us?
It is. So who gets a point there?
Chad Palm.
Good job, Chad.
Yay.
Okay. So, and by the way, people might be asking, what is Emmanuel? Isn't the same name as Jesus? But one thing that's kind of confusing with the Bible is that the name of God has addressed in all these different ways throughout the Bible, and it keeps changing. And the way I might explain that is that, it's kind of God's plan to reveal his nature gradually through time. And as he does that, either he keeps changing his name, or people keep changing the name that they give to him. And it also might not help that there's different languages involved. So that's, I'm sure that a biblical scholar could talk about this much better than me, but that's about my understanding of it. So let's ask question number 3. Okay. So the prophet Isaiah said that Emmanuel, that he would understand the difference between right and wrong when he was eating what? So when he was eating blank, Emmanuel would be able to tell right from wrong, and therefore you could probably trust what he's saying.
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. If anyone puts in what I was thinking, I will give you double the points. Okay, so our next question, while we're waiting for people to answer that, is from Ray. And Ray says, do you invest in the stock market? And if so, is there any overlapping strategy between investing and gambling?
I would say that they're completely different things, because when you invest, you're buying into hopefully a money-making company, and it's like in my opinion, you're contributing to the economy by basically loaning money to a business that hopefully is going to use that money properly and grow itself and make the economy even better, which benefits everybody. So I really respect investing as opposed to gambling, which I think is a form of entertainment. So I think that you should expect to make money investing and expect to lose at gambling. Now, however, there is a lot of gambling. Let me rephrase that. There is a big element of chance with some investing, like biomedical companies. Those are feast or famine. And unfortunately, I put a lot of money into one of them, and its value fell by about 90% since I bought it. But I knew it was going to be a Hail Mary kind of thing, because somebody I kind of trusted felt that they were on the verge of a cure to cancer, but their trial run didn't go so well. But I won't get into that. But do I play the stock market? I certainly have a lot of money in stocks, but I haven't actually made a trade in a long time. I tend to just shove my money, most of it, into a Fidelity index fund in the S&P 500, and just let it stay there, because previously I dabbled in it more, and shall we say I had mixed results. So I frankly don't trust myself to think that I know better than the market in general. So yeah, so I'm a lazy investor. And that's about all I am going to say on that one real quick.
Okay. So our next question comes from Paul. Suggestion: go on a cruise and report all of the bad gambles on board. Coin pushers, slot tournaments, claw machines, bingo, deal or no deal. I'd love to see your finger wag of shame here.
Well, I do not give the finger wag of shame to recreational gamblers that play foolish games like the ones that you said. Maybe in my younger days I might have, but I view that as them paying a expensive price for their entertainment. I tend to reserve the finger wag of shame for casinos that I think are being excessively greedy or stingy. And I also might do it if I saw someone who professed to be a advantage player and making stupid bets. There I might do it too. But I tend to save the old finger wag for rare occasions, so it will convey more.
Okay. All right. Do you want another question, or you want to see if anyone answered your trivia?
Let's see if anyone knows the answer to my last trivia question.
Okay. Is it bread?
No.
No. Dalbrixen says shrooms, and yes, you are right. That's what I was thinking. Now, if this is correct, you get double the points, but I don't think it's correct.
I'm afraid it wasn't correct.
Darn.
Try though.
You can see and believe a whole lot of stuff if you eat that. So, Okay. That looks like that's it for people who are guessing on that. Do you want to give the answer, or would you like to
Okay,
do
you
another
guys,
question?
the answer is curds and honey.
Okay.
And go to
Good to
Isaiah
know.
7:15 if you want to read it yourself.
Okay. So, what is our next trivia question?
The next one is, now this one is easier. What were the shepherds doing when Gabriel approached them to tell them about the birth of Jesus?
So, if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat while we're waiting. Our next question also comes from Dalbrixton, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing, and I do apologize. Given the minimum bet in House Edge and bets resolved per hour, is the craps pass line the best live gambling to recommend to a Vegas visitor?
Yeah, I'm always saying that the best two table games are blackjack and craps, and just betting the pass line would be a very good way to minimize your losses, because the house advantage only is 1.41%, and it takes a lot of rolls to resolve a pass line bet. I think 4 point something, if my memory serves me right. So yeah, one pass line bet will last you for a while, and so yeah, that would be a a very good way to play if you're mainly looking for keeping your losses to a minimum at the tables. And
Okay.
I don't want to say off the top of my head that it's the best way to play, but it's certainly one of the best.
Now, Jay had a comment about the trivia answer for the last question, and he said, "No way."
As a Curdson way, I like that.
That was really good. Okay, so our next question is actually a comment, not a question. And I like this. Vince says, Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Vince.
Thank you, Vince, especially after I gave you shit. Much appreciated. Okay, so our next question comes from Ed Junk. And he says, I notice you have a Herman Miller office chair. Are they worth the investment?
I actually have two.
Oh,
And let me show them to you. I like them, by the
okay.
way. So this is number one, and this one is number two. And I didn't mean to have two of them, but so I got that red one first, and it was expensive. I must have paid like about $1,000 for it. And then somebody gave me the other one. And to be honest, I like the one that was given to me better. I just like the feel of it, and it was a little bit broken, but it was easy to fix. And yeah, I really like them. Is it worth it to you to spend $1,000 on an office chair? That I'm not sure, but I spent so much time sitting in these chairs, and for me, I probably spend let me think, maybe about 18% of my day sitting in this chair right now. And I do have some back issues, so I just like the way this chair hits me. So for me, it was money well spent.
So it helps with your back issues or it causes the back issues?
No, it helps.
It helps with the back
And,
issues.
I'm
Okay.
not an ergonomist. Is that the right word? But it has kind of an arch in the back that I find, shall we say, hits my spine in the right places. And, it used to be really painful for me to get out of a chair that I had been sitting in for a long time. But I think I give most of the credit to getting back into unicycling. I probably should give 90% of the credit to that, but I give the other 10% to a good quality chair.
Awesome. A good
So
quality
interesting
chair.
question. I've never been asked that before.
I like the weird questions, the interesting questions. It's different.
Yeah. You guys are welcome to ask me anything. It doesn't have to be gambling related.
Okay, so the answer to the trivia question, is it keeping their flocks by night?
Yes, it was. It was watching over their flocks at night. So good job, Chad.
Yay. Very
Um,
nice.
okay, the next question. Okay, this is another easy one. What gifts did the wise men present to Jesus?
Okay, so if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat and we'll go through it here in a second. And then our next question comes from our favorite person. It's Anne.
Hi,
Hey.
Anne.
So, is it possible to advantage play the Ultimate X bonus streak variation?
That's a good question. And um, I don't know that much about it, but I do know the company that made that game, Action Gaming slash IGT, has really smart people that work for them, and they will analyze these games to death really accurately. So I tend to think not, but again, that said, not knowing much about the game at all. And
Okay.
furthermore, I think that if there were a game, I might have, if it was possible to beat this game, I might have heard about it. Now, there's also, if you vulture the game, that I'm sure can be an advantage play. Uh, but again, I don't know too much about it. And vulturing Ultimate X is an advantage play that everyone knows about. So, in my opinion, it's not worth the time to scout out.
Well, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know what Vulture is, or myself included, what does that mean?
Okay, so there's a lot of games out there, especially slot machines, but some video poker games like Ultimate X where there's different states. And depending upon what happened the last time the game was played. So in the case of Ultimate X, it might be that if you hit, say, a four of a kind, you get a nice win immediately, but you also will get a multiplier for the next hand. So if the player leaves the game with a good multiplier on it for the next hand, it's a good time to swoop in like a vulture and play it real quick and then leave.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so our next question comes from Las Vegas Jamie. Do you still play pickleball?
You know, sadly, the group that I played with kind of petered out, and
No.
I really miss pickleball, and but haven't played it. I think I've only played it once in the last year, but I know about a league and that I was invited to join. So so I've been meaning to look into that league. I think it's called the Neon Picklers or something like that. And but yeah, I miss my pickleball, and I love the sound of pickleball. So I have been meaning to get back into that with a different group.
Very cool. Now, the answer to the trivia question, was it frankincense?
Frankincense is what he means, and that is one of
Frankincense.
the things, but I'm looking for two more.
And how about myrrh?
Interesting spelling, like the Soviet spacecraft. But yes, Myrrh was another one, spelled Myrh.
Okay. Would that count as a win, or should we go on to the next person?
I still missed, we still need one more thing.
Okay.
Um,
Mick says, is it Goldie, Frank, and Murray?
I like that. Yeah, the other one is frankincense. But Goldie, Frank, and Murray sounds like a law firm. So humor points there.
Was it Golden Sense and Mayor?
You guys aren't getting many spelling points here, but again, the correct answer is gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
In that case, I think Vince got it because Vince said gold. So
Yep.
he got gold, myrrh, and frankincense.
Okay. All right. Um, I don't want to decide who gets the points, but but good job, Vince. Okay, here's the next question. When does the Bible say Jesus was born? When?
So you want a year, you want a month,
I'm looking
and
for
a
a time of the
day?
year.
A time of the year.
For example,
Okay.
we celebrate the Catholics and Protestants celebrate on December 25th. The Orthodox Church celebrates later, I think sometime in January. So I'm looking for, what does the Bible actually say?
I actually know the answer to this. I am so impressed with myself, and I'm probably wrong. Okay, so I'm putting the answer in our private chat, and tell me if I'm right.
You are wrong.
Okay, in that case, that's totally makes sense. And yeah, we're all good. I'm like, no way did I get this. Okay, so as we were waiting for people to answer that trivia question, our next question comes from Wes Geezy for Sheezy. And he says, just a quick question about Baccarat. I was wondering what kind of eggs the banker has over the player, and if no edge, why the 5% fig?
The banker has a positional advantage over the player. So, as you know, if neither side has a natural, then the player must draw. And the banker gets to see that the third player card. And if it's a small card, it probably helped the player hand. And if it's a big one, it probably hurt. So that's why the banker's strategy is what it is. And it is the correct strategy, by the way. So the banker has a little bit of information in how he plays out his hand. That's why he has a slightly better chance of winning than the player. Thus, the 5% vig to try to make things more fair and give an advantage to both sides to the casino.
Okay, that's good to know.
And frankly, that's how most casino games where you go against a dealer get their advantage, especially blackjack. The dealer has that positional advantage where if both of you bust, the player loses because he busted first.
Okay. How big of an advantage? I'm just curious. Do you happen to know the percentage of an increase?
Not off the top of my head. And you would also have to ask, well, how is the dealer going to play shall we say, what if both sides bust? Would that just be a push? And if so, do we assume that the dealer doesn't get to see what happened to the player hand? Yada, yada, yada. So the question would need to be carefully spelled out. But yeah, off the top of my head, yeah, I'm well, let's see. I think that there is a bust. I think there's a double bust roughly about once every 16 hands. So that's about 6% of the time both sides will bust. So that's turning what would be a push into a dealer win. But then there's other things that cut the player's way. So
For example, the dealer going last, I know is a big one.
Right, that's what I was saying. But some things cut the player's way, like 3-2 in a blackjack, and the player can double and split, and the dealer can't. Things like that. But when you look at everything that goes both ways, depending upon the exact rules, the house advantage is about 0.5%.
Okay. I love knowing all this stuff. It's so interesting.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so the answer to the trivia question, we have a lot of different answers. The very first person that we got says, was it fall?
That's not what I'm looking for, so no.
Okay, Chad says summer.
It was not, the Bible does not say it was summer.
Okay, Jim says December 21st.
Nope.
Vince says it was not stated.
Right, it was not stated. The Bible does not say. So most scholars believe that the Christians kind of usurped what was a holiday for the beginning of winter and said, no, let's make this a holiday about Jesus instead. So I don't think it's a coincidence that we celebrate Christmas so close to the winter solstice. So that is yeah. But and frankly, and also it could be argued it probably was not in December because Joseph and Mary were traveling for the census at the time, and it's unlikely the government would have made people travel to do the census in a time of inclement weather. So from what I read, he was probably born in the spring, but again, the Bible does not say directly.
Okay. So what is our next trivia question?
The next trivia question is, how did John the Baptist refer to Jesus the first time that he saw him?
Okay, so if you know the answer, put it in the chat. Also, if you have any questions for Michael Shackelford, the Wizard of Oz, please put that in the chat as well. We are almost through with all of the questions, so more questions would definitely be needed. It would be nice.
Yep, ask me anything. Doesn't need to be gambling related.
So our next question comes from Ken. Is Fun 21 played the same way as regular Blackjack?
Okay, so I take it you mean Super Fun 21. So I haven't seen that game in years. So that is the game, Super Fun 21. Let me go to my site real quick to refresh my memory what the gist of that game is.
If I remember correctly, Blackjack paid even money. You could split aces, and I think you could get more than one card. It wasn't just like you got split aces and you got one card. You could hit as many times as you want.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So it's similar to regular Blackjack, where a lot of rules go the player's way. Like you can double on any number of cards. You can take late surrender on any number of cards. You can surrender after a double down. 6-card Charlie.
And a 6-card Charlie is?
That means an unbusted hand that has 6 or more cards in it. And a 21-point hand consisting of at least 5 cards, except after doubling, pays 2-1 instantly. So you get all these little things, but what they take away from you is that Blackjacks only pay even money, as you said, except if Blackjack and Diamonds pays 2-1, but only 1 in 16 Blackjacks is going to be in Diamonds. So that is the gist of Fun 21. And is it played in the same way as Blackjack? Well, let me go back to my page here, but I do recall there being a different strategy. So there's a whole different strategy according to how many cards you have. Because if you get close to that 5 or 6 card rule, then you're going to be more inclined to hit because of those bonuses for 5 and 6 cards.
Okay.
And you can also safely double down more because, like I said, you can surrender after a double down.
Do you know if that's in any casinos? I haven't seen that around lately.
I haven't seen that in years and years.
Yeah, at least a decade.
So, I thought that one went the way of the dodo bird, but you never know what game you'll find in, some other market. Like Spanish 21 is surprisingly popular in California and Washington, where it's practically dead here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. You want to do another question or do the answer to the trivia?
Let's do the answer to the trivia.
Okay, and we were asking...
So when John the Baptist first saw Jesus, how did he refer to him as?
And Vince says, you should be baptizing me.
Ah,
Chad says, I don't want to lose my head here.
that's good. Yes,
And
because
Ken
John the Baptist was
says,
later beheaded.
and then Ken says, no kings.
Yeah, those were all good guesses. But no, the answer is he referred to him as the Lamb of God. And
Oh, Vince got it.
oh, good job, Vince. Yes, and see
Nice.
John 136 if you want to read the passage yourself. And finally, this is my last trivia question, and this is not really Christmas related, but according to the Protestant interpretation, how many brothers and sisters did Jesus have? And I'm referring to full brothers and sisters, not half brothers or sisters or cousins or anything like that.
Okay, so if you know the answer, put it in the chat. I have a trivia question for everyone when you're done. So, and it's Christmas related, super easy. Everyone will get it. While we are waiting, our next question is from Rodney. In honor of today's trivia, when did Vegas hotels phase out Bibles in the nightstands? I haven't seen them in many years.
I didn't know that they did that. I thought that every hotel room in the US at least had a Bible in there. And, I don't need to stay in the hotel rooms here. Do you know anything about this, Heather?
Every time I stay in a hotel room, the first thing I do is burn the Bible. So I have no idea what happened to them.
Oh, burning the Bible. You burn it in the trash can, or how do you keep your sprinklers from setting off?
Oh, it's the shower area. Nobody notices. Just throw it in the bathtub.
Okay. I'm sure you're joking.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I have no idea why or what or where or
No,
when.
I'm going to look into this, but I'm frankly skeptical this is true.
Oh, you think they're still there?
I think they're still there because they're provided for free by the Gideons. And what are they going to say? No, we don't want Bibles. That would just, it's just a customary thing. I might add that when I stayed in Taos, New Mexico, they also had a Buddhist book. I don't remember the title of it, but I respect that, and I think it's the Radissons or the Ramadas or something where you also get a Book of Mormon. So I see no harm in it. That nobody is forced to read these books.
Yeah, you get free books. Glue the papers together, cut out a hole in the middle.
But I think that they should probably. If I ran a hotel, I would say anybody who provides me enough books to put one in each room, and they're nice new books, and that they represent something religious in nature, or even history or science, I would not object to putting them in the drawers.
Oh my God, does that mean we could take your book and put it in every drawer of every casino?
If somebody wants to buy them and do that, they're welcome to, but I'm not going to subsidize that myself.
Oh, darn. Okay, so our next, do you want to do a trivia answer or a question?
So that was the last question, so I'll let the audience percolate on that one for a while.
Okay, so our next normal question comes from Source Keen. Is a do-don't pass line bet with full odds and then repeated don't come bets with full odds the best as far as the house edge? Is that the best way to play?
Yep, it is. It absolutely is. Especially on the don't side, it's a little bit better, but that is how I advocate playing craps. Making the line bets and backed up with the full odds.
Okay, I love it when they're easy questions.
Yep, big ol' yes to that answer. To that question.
And Justin says hello.
Hi, Justin.
Hi. So let's see if anyone has an answer to that. Is it so at least 2 sisters and 4 brothers?
Yep, there were 4 brothers and 2 sisters. The Bible does not say the names of the sisters, but it does say the names of the brothers. So for full credit, I need the names of the brothers.
Okay, so for the names of the brothers, I am not seeing any names of anyone. I see one person, Technic says the Fisher of Men.
That's probably an answer to the John the Baptist question, but that was not what I was looking for. The answer to that one again was the Lamb of God.
Okay, in that case, I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, so we're still looking for the names of Jesus's brothers.
Okay, so our next casino question. Nope, I'm wrong. It's not a casino question. What is your favorite newspaper comic strip? Mine is The Far Side.
I would say The Far Side is my second favorite. My first favorite, I'm going to go with Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, I love Calvin and Hobbes. Such a great one.
I have I believe the complete set of Calvin and Hobbes books, and yeah, what can I say? I like what I like. I think that it's a very, shall we say, clever comic strip, but it's also funny. And I also really respect it in that Bill Watterson, the creator of it, never licensed out Calvin and Hobbes for merchandising. And if you do see any T-shirts or something with Calvin and Hobbes, it's unlicensed and somebody is ripping off his intellectual property. And I also respect him that you may recall that he took a break for a while, basically because he ran out of material. And then he came back and did it a while again, and then he got out of it again. So I really respect that he got out at a good time, unlike Peanuts, which I think lasted way too long and was not funny like the last 10 years of it. So, yeah, Calvin and Hobbes, there you go. But The Far Side is great too. To be honest, sometimes I don't get The Far Side, but I think in much the same way Gary Larson did, and I especially love it when he would tease scientists. And I happen to have Gary Larson's autograph, by the way.
No kidding.
So there you go. How about
you met him?
Favorite comic strip?
Oh, I definitely Far Side or Calvin, because those are the only two I actually owned those are the ones I actually went out and bought the book that had the comics in it. And then I have it, so I can't say that with any other comic, and I enjoy every.
And not that anyone asked, but here are my 2 least favorite.
Oh, good.
The Family Circus.
Oh, yes.
And Garfield.
Really? Garfield?
Garfield is the same joke over and over and over again. It's just repetitive and overly consistent. And, I think that you could summarize every Garfield comic strip into about 30 different ideas about Garfield being lazy and liking eating food and teasing Odie.
Yeah.
And, you just see the same gags over and over again, and give it up,
I don't know. I find it more enjoyable hearing you rant about comic strips. Okay, so our next question comes from Scott. What is the real payback percentage of job at the Class 2 casino? The table says 9.6, but I don't believe it. Is there a better payback over slots?
All right. So what Class 2 means, first of all, job means jacks or better, and Class 2 means a bingo-based game. So in some states like Oklahoma, certain casinos only have legal bingo when it comes to gambling. but the casino said, okay, well, can we represent to the player what they want in a bingo game in the form of another game like a slot machine or video poker? And the regulators said, yeah, I guess you can do that. So what a class 2 video poker game really would be is your outcome was determined by the draw of bingo balls. It has nothing to do with skill, and I'm sure it does not pay, say, 99.54%, which is what fair 9-6 jacks would pay. And by the way, you might say, if it's not skill based, what would happen if, say, I'm dealt a royal flush and I throw 4 of the cards away? Well, making it impossible to get a new royal flush. And the answer there is you would probably get a junk hand, but then a genie or something like that would come along and change the cards with a magic wand, giving you your royal flush back. So I know I previously said that video representations of cards have to be according to natural odds, but that's only true in Nevada. Class 2 states and video lottery states pretty much do whatever they want, and so you cannot trust these games to be, these card games to follow natural odds. And that is about all I have to say about that one.
Okay. So let's see if anyone came up with an answer. And remind us again what the question was.
Oh, yeah, the names of Jesus's 4 brothers.
Okay, so the names of Jesus's 4 brothers. Was it John, Paul, George, and Ringo?
No, none of those.
I love that answer.
You would think that John and Paul would be at least be good guesses, because those are nice biblical names, but no.
Seriously. Were 2 of them Simon and Jude?
Yes. 2 of them
So
were Simon and Jude.
And that was from Chad.
Credit there to Chad.
And then Vince says Jose and James.
Nope. Sorry.
Okay,
you guys are out of time. The other 2 are, no, James is one of them. But the
James
other
is one of them?
Yeah, James is one of them. And the one that I haven't seen yet, Jude was already mentioned, is Jose's. Somebody said Jose. Maybe that's what it says in the Spanish translation, but in the English translation, he is referred to as Jose's.
Okay, and Joseph, Vince got that one.
Well, Vince just said Joseph, not Jose's.
How do you spell that?
Joses.
Oh yeah, nobody got that one.
All right, I'm sick of that question. That's all the Bible trivia for today.
No, I have one. I have a Bible trivia.
Yeah, you had a trivia question.
And this goes for everybody. It goes for you. It goes for everybody. And I'm pretty sure you can. I don't know. Okay, we'll wait a couple seconds. But the question is, what do you want for Christmas? Anything at all. Like, it doesn't matter how much it is. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. It doesn't matter how, there's no way and heck you're going to get it. But what do you want for Christmas?
I would, if there's no rules, I will take immortality, meaning that I will never die.
Okay, that's a good answer. Now, is it normal immortality, or is it Wolverine from, where you heal instantly and you constantly heal and you live forever because you're constantly reaching?
Yeah, that kind. I had more of a vampire in mind, where you just have normal mortal powers, but you just never die. Now, you might say vampires are extra strong, but I didn't say I want to be a vampire. I just don't want to die. Now, if I could have more things, then I might take some superpowers. I think if I got just one superpower, it would be to have a 4-digit IQ. And one of my favorite movies is Limitless. So to have that kind of mental acuity where I simply retain everything that I ever see or hear.
I would like that one too. Although there are some people out there that actually have that and they have a problem with it because they remember everything from every
Mhm.
day in their past and they're like, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, but I would also add to that that these people also tend to be challenged in other areas. Um, shall we say they're not? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say anything lest I offend anybody. But I've known people that could tell you, you could name, like, say, name any football game going back to the 70s, and they would tell you of every single score and just ridiculous detail about the game. But shall we say these same people didn't sound like the kind of people that could probably hold down a normal job.
Okay.
Hope nobody got offended.
uh, well, while we're waiting for everyone to answer the trivia, our next casino question comes from Peter. Which Las Vegas which Las Vegas casino could you recommend with the lowest minimums yet best odds?
So I mentioned this one already. Is I really like the South Point. They have very respectable limits on the low side. They have good rules in general. I'm not saying that they have the best rules on every single game, but especially their video poker is pretty generous. The slots, the video keno, they're especially good with the machines. But their table games are now, I could be wrong about this, but I know for a long time it was all 3-2 blackjack. And yeah, so again, a good plug there for the South Point.
Woohoo.
Okay.
Quick,
Do
do
you
you
have
want to do
another
another
one?
question?
But I
Yeah.
need to show you the how to do that card trick.
That's right. Okay, this one's really quick. In a previous program, I think you said you were married. If this is correct, do you have a wife and children?
Yes, I have been married for 28 years and we have 3 kids.
Awesome. Now let's see that trick.
Okay. Okay. First of all, like I said before, you can do this with a normal deck, which is one thing I like about this trick. Now, however, you have to find the aces. And so I'm going to pull the aces out. And this is what's called the pre-show. Don't do this while the audience is right in front of you. You need to do this in advance. And by the way, if you ever see a magician just pull out a deck of cards and immediately get into a magic trick, it's probably either some kind of a special deck or they're in some kind of a special order. If the dealer, I mean, excuse me, if the magician truly wants to do the magic trick with a normal deck in random order, he would probably let you shuffle it, which sometimes does happen. So here's how to set up this trick. You simply find the 4 aces and you put them on the top. Now you may recall that I shuffled at the beginning, but I knew that I didn't want to shuffle the top 4 cards in the rest of the deck. So I was careful to always leave, like I know that the 4 aces are in this half here with my right hand. So I'm careful to, shall we say, always shuffle that one last. And you will see I still have the 4 aces on top. So you may need to, if you want to do the shuffling step, again, make sure that you can do it keeping the top 4 cards intact, but you don't have to go through that shuffling step. And then, so the next step is you do ask the volunteer to separate the cards into 4 equal piles. And you have to remember which of the 4 started out at the top of the deck. If you forget, you'll only have a 25% chance of doing it correctly. So I know that the 4 aces are in this one right here because I just remembered how I put them down. And in fact, let me show you right here. Here are my 4 aces. So at the next step, you have to pretend that you're picking up one of these piles at random, but you're not. You want to do the pile with the aces last. Otherwise, you can pick any one of these. So I might say something like, let's just pick one of these. How about this one? And then you put the top three. Well, before I do that, let me turn over the aces to show you why this works. So you take the top three, put them on the bottom, and then you take the next three and put one on top of each pile. And it doesn't matter which way you do this. Then I say, okay, let's pick another one. And then you just pick any one of the piles that is not the previously top pile. So top three on the bottom, the next three cards, one in each pile. Let's do this one next. Top three, put them on the bottom. The next three, put one on each pile. So now here's the last one. This is the one with the 4 aces. And through the previous steps, I put 3 random cards on top of that pack of aces. So here I take top 3, put them on the bottom, and that brings the 4 aces back to the top. And then when I put them on the other 3 piles, I'm putting one on top. Now the other 3 aces are going to the top of each pile. But again, this is all going to be upside down. So when you follow those steps, you will have an ace at the top of each pile.
Oh,
and
that's
it is
sneaky.
that simple. And if you didn't understand that, just go back and rewind the video, and I'm sure you will. You know, it's really, the math of it is really quite simple. Again, the key thing is you save what was at the beginning of the trick. You have to remember, like, if this is where you put the top of the deck. So in this case, if the participant splits them like this, this is the one with the aces. The one, just remember what was at the top at the beginning.
And with all magic tricks, you just have to practice, right? Practice until it's effortless.
Yep. Now, fortunately with this one's really quite easy to do. So you don't need to practice it a whole lot. But one thing, when you do something that is supposed to seem random, that it's not, just cut through that with as few words as possible. Like the one here where I want it to seem like I'm picking a pile at random. I will say something like this. Okay, let's pick one of these piles. How about this one? So that sounds very relaxed and random, but really it wasn't. Now with the first 3, you can go in any order you wish. Again, just say this one for last. Don't let the player pick, because I mean the participant, because they might pick this one, and then what are you going to do?
Well, people really like that. They said thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm going to continue to make it a thing where I'm going to try to teach you a simple magic trick every live stream.
Oh, that's fun. And when is the next live stream that we're doing?
Well, let's have a look at my calendar.
And some people...
Happy December, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How about December 15th?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So we will be on again December 15th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, a couple people in the chat said what they want for Christmas is to hang out with us. So I thought that was so cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We love you guys. You guys are so awesome. Much appreciated.
Well, Heather, do you have an answer to if you could have anything for Christmas?
My front teeth.
But you already have those.
Now I do. I'm not sure if I'm going to have that when I'm older.
Okay. But if I were to be limited to things that are more physical in nature, I think I wouldn't mind a nice boat.
I know a boat would be nice. I think I would get seasick. I think I would want to do a cosplay outfit. That's what I want for Christmas. Have you seen Picard, Star Trek Picard?
Nope.
Okay. There's a character in there, Girardi. She has this red dress with the army boots, black army boots, and it's like all torn and dirty. I would love that dress.
I'm going to have to look at that. If you get one, will you wear it on the show?
Yes. Yes, I will. I will probably wear it where I shouldn't wear it, like grocery shopping and out doing errands, and probably wouldn't take it off.
All right. Well, I see we're over time.
Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Well, thank you, Heather. And thank you, audience, for all your questions and comments.
Yes, and please join us the next time. Again, the sooner you get your questions in, the more likely that they will be answered. And I hope you have a great one.
You too. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.